I believe there are 7 or 8 wrestling's most in the series, and we're going to release those the first Thursday of every month, and they're going to stay up here at youtube.com/KCVault. Sean, how did the Wrestling's Most series come about?
There was a show on VH1. It was a countdown show. They would do, I don't know, most controversial songs or whatever, and it was a countdown show hosted, well, not so much hosted, but with celebrities commenting on the countdown. They didn't only do music; they actually did like 80s TV show countdown and movies. So they would have performers from the pop culture era that they were discussing come on and do the countdown and comment on the items that were coming up in the countdown. So we said, well, let's have a wrestling one. And the way we were able to do it was we would shoot, because we were shooting, I mean, at one time at our busiest, we were doing 18 full-length shows a year. I think that was the most stocked our release calendar was. So we have people coming through all the time. I love the 80s. Thank you. That was Salvatore threw that up there.
And then that team eventually started out. They did a thing called Best Week Ever, and it was the same team.
Oh, really?
That people liked that. Like, I would call it their content farm. That it's like, let's do a decade show, but then let's also do just a weekly week in review show.
Right.
It's just talking heads. Like back when a million people would watch something like that on regular TV every week.
Right. So we figured, let's do a half-hour show. Let's do it, or were they an hour? I don't know. You guys will tell me how long the Wrestling's Most were. I think maybe they were an hour. So rather than the regular 2-hour shows or the 90-minute shows, we'll do a short 1-hour show where we did Wrestling's Most blank. So it would be Wrestling's Most Controversial Moment, Wrestling's Most Awful Angle, Wrestling's Most Awesome Manager. So we would put it out to fans on our website, and they would vote. They would get like 3 weeks to vote. We would direct them there. So the countdown was legit. It was entirely fan driven. So at the end of those 3 weeks, whatever the results were, that was it. It went out, and then we got to sit a talent down and do the countdown with them. And we would do it usually after. We do one of two ways. After a shoot, like let's say we did a Timeline Fit Finley, we would shoot the show and break, change camera lighting, put up the green screen, and read him the countdown and get his reactions to the countdowns. And so with Fit there, we would do one whole season, which I think it was 4 per year we would release, 1 per quarter on the calendar. So we would do the 4 countdown topics and have him react to the 5 in the countdown. The other thing we would do is we often shot shows at conventions. So we would leave a day or a portion of a day with the Wrestling's Most setup in the corner. We'd be doing timelines and U-shoots over here, but we had that over there. So that when we had breaks in the production schedule, like in between a U-shoot and a timeline, because I didn't have enough to do that day, we try to grab a talent and run them in for a half hour and shoot their countdown segment. And then they'd go out and we'd grab another talent and run them in. And that allowed us to get access to people that had never been on KC shows, like Abyss, who at one point, he was doing the Joe Park thing, but I knew he was a fan, and I knew they'd never let him do a full show. So, but we were able to run him in and get the countdowns for him. So he was able to appear on a KC countdown show. So that's how we did those.
You fucked up. You fucked up. For years, wrestling fans have had a perverse fascination with things not going exactly as planned. And with hours of live broadcast each week, pro wrestling has more than its fair share of bloopers, blunders to go along with all the body slams. Botchamania is an exhaustive series of videos that chronicles all the times when the fake world of wrestling suddenly becomes real and things happen in and around the ring that don't go exactly according to plan. So when we set out to count down wrestling's most botched moments, we went to the experts at Botchamania to give us a list of the 20 best botches they could come up with. You, the fans, voted on our poll, and what we present to you now are the top 5 vote getters. These are wrestling's most botched moments.
People went to the show Spider-Man in New York City, the Broadway show, because the guy who played Spider-Man botched something and fell and got hurt. So tickets started flying because they wanted to see, is someone going to get hurt? Is somebody going to botch something up? People, not just in wrestling, have always had this thing where they almost enjoy, and I was there when something botched up. I think it's human nature. Why do they look for it in wrestling? Well, the old school wrestling fan did not look for that. ECW changed that. ECW fans looked for that so they could yell, "You fucked up." I never cursed on camera before.
How could anything go wrong? Let's take a 69-year-old retired football player who was probably hit in the head a few times and then give him, you know, could you turn that so that it gets some of the light? How could anything go wrong? Let's take a 69-year-old retired football player who was hit in the head a few times. Give him a whore. Give him a whore. Give him a whore. Give him a live mic during one of the biggest shows of the year on pay-per-view, and let's not bother to see if he knows anything all about professional wrestling. Give him that formula. It's no surprise the end result became your number 5 most botched moment in wrestling. I now present to you what we affectionately call, What Does Art Donovan Weigh?
You know, Art Donovan, oh, that guy, big round, how much does he weigh?
How much does that guy weigh?
What does this kid weigh? He looks like a boxer. Fucking Art Donovan was the worst guest commentator, I think, in the history of pay-per-view.
How much does this fella weigh?
I just don't understand how Art Donovan got there.
I don't know. Good question. I didn't even know who he was.
Art Donovan was trying to get the wrestlers over. He was trying to do his job. He just thought it was size and weight for everybody. He thought the determination of getting these guys over by asking the other commentators how much this guy weighs, and look at this guy, and this guy's big, and the other guy, why is the other guy doing that to that guy? Art Donovan doing play-by-play King of the Ring is like a family reunion. That one relative that fucking corners you. In my family, it was my Aunt Peggy. She would corner, how you doing? Ah, you're getting fat. Ah, Brian, you're getting fat. Oh, sorry, I have asthma. I can't really work out. No, but you're really fat. How much you weigh now?
Mabel's great there. I mean, that gimmick's not that good either.
Art Donovan, he didn't get it. He wasn't a wrestling fan. They put him in there because he was Art Donovan. I think they learned a lesson at that point that clue people in before they sit down and do commentary.
That has baffled me over the years. Why have people out there talking about wrestling when they know nothing about it? It makes no sense. I mean, maybe he had some name value and they wanted that, because they do that quite a bit.
It's definitely it's not good for the product of someone talking about you doesn't know who you are or anybody else is. I mean, that's not good business.
Oh, I see. Okay, now I get it.
Art Donovan, he wasn't trying to crap on the business. He wasn't trying to crap on, he was trying his best to our entertainment to try to get everybody over.
Most of them, if they're invited to a WrestleMania, kind of know, you know, what the event is about, and they'll know, like back then, that Hulk Hogan is the big star or something like that. But yeah, they're kind of, today, much more so, in modern day, they're clued in on what's going on.
Well, yeah, it comes across disrespectful to the in-ring guys or everybody in the locker room listening to it, you know. A lot of animosity it creates.
It's been put out there so much, people exposing the business and saying how fake it is, and then when you bring somebody in that don't know the business, all they know is it's fake. So that's how they, you know, if you don't smarten them up and tell them what to do, then they just gonna take it and run with it, you know what I'm saying? And they'll slam you, and so one night I went out somewhere and some guy came up and he was like, "Oh, you one of them professional wrestlers?" "No, that fake." I'm like, "Dude, whatever." And then somebody came up to him and was like, "Dude, look at this video of him." And when he saw it, he was like, "Oh, shit, I didn't know that was you, bro. Sorry, can I buy you a drink?" So, he got smartened up. So if you bring in somebody that's an actor that don't know the business, of course, they gonna doodle all over it. You know what I mean? So it's up to the people to bring them in, just to let them know, look, don't go in there and talk about these guys because some of them will slap you upside your head for real.
Safe places to put them, front row behind the guardrail. That's a safe place.
Timekeeper.
Far away from a microphone. Timekeeper maybe, but they'd probably ring the bell in all the wrong places.
What's the girl over there screaming at?
Well, if you really look at David Arquette, people say what they want. When he screwed me at that pay-per-view and hit me with a thing, he cut an awesome promo. He don't do that. He don't cut promos except for probably in his bathroom looking at the channel and cutting a promo that I'm going to cut a promo someday. He did a hell of a job, man. He got heat. He knew how to turn stuff on, so you can't put David in that spot. Malone was never a talker. He went out there and probably did, besides Lawrence Taylor, and never got blown up like LT did, you know. And we went 40 minutes from ring entrance to ending. And when Hulk asked for that, I was like, come on, Hulk, like 12 will be plenty. But, you know, he did. And I look at the other one, Jay Leno. He's in the ring doing this shit. And, you know, he was at least entertaining, you know. So I never had that.
I think it's a responsibility for whoever sent them out there to make sure they're up to standard or up to speed with everybody's names and what the job is.
Hakeem, but they got it over.
Donovan was my Aunt Peggy. Aunt Peggy, the 80-year-old who would tell you every day that she fucking did push-ups. And she would proceed to get in the push-up position, except her hips would go down and it looks like she's dry humping the floor. That's our Donovan. That's the visual I have in my head. And I hope you never get out of your fucking mind either. My Aunt Peggy humping the floor.
I think that was one of my very first pay-per-views. And the funny thing about that was, I thought Donovan was just an absolute train wreck, but Savage didn't think it was funny. I mean, he was legitimately pissed. Yeah, he didn't think it was very entertaining at the time.
How can you tell if Savage is pissed or happy or whatever, though? What's the difference? His pissed and happy and calm and sleeping and awake are all the same.
He was frustrated. He was frustrated. I thought he handled it pretty good overall. You know, he kept kind of. I thought he humored Art Donovan. I thought he was good about not disrespecting him because he could have easily goofed on him.
How coked up were you there, Lex?
He's not looking well at all.
Watch my match with Bret the Hitman Hart from Raw. My favorite match I've ever had. It's one of Bret's favorites as well. When Randy left, and there were he couldn't even utter his name. They took revoiced over a lot of the videos, and one of the matches that was on Coliseum video with the revoice over, they took Randy's voice out and had JR and Stan Lane do it together. And Stan Lane had this, he wasn't taking anything serious, he was making jokes, and it totally fucking ruined it. You watch it with the Stan Lane commentary and you'll see exactly what I mean. Yes, bad commentary can, if not ruin it, can totally take away from it.
Yeah, that's bad.
Most of the botches on our countdown are pretty funny, but unless you have a cruel sense of humor, you're not going to laugh at this one. Well, maybe you have a cruel sense of humor. Either way, this botch was so bad, it nearly ruined the finish in one of the biggest matches of the year and put arguably the most powerful man in the industry on the shelf. The number 4 most botched moment you voted for was Vince McMahon blowing out both quads at the finish of the 2005 Royal Rumble.
He gonna try to slide him up on the rope.
Watch him.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Oh!
Boom, both of them gone.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But look, he's not even selling it though. He's not even selling it. He's in so much pain. You blow your quads out. That's how strong that son of a bitch is though. I mean, like, whoa.
So the only thing he can tell them to do now is get on me.
That was a serious injury. I was there. That was horrible.
I'm sorry. I remember I was right there.
He no sells it, and he's just doing the he went from doing the bionic walk, the banging his knees, to doing the bionic sit down.
Think Vince was doing any juice? But don't even sell it. I mean, that's classic Vince there, but that's awesome.
What's the proper way? Look, everybody's thinking right now, oh my God, is he working me? What the fuck is happening? The refs are like, what's going on? Everybody's like, what's going on? Vince is like, I can't believe this just happened.
Tough and stubborn, absolutely, absolutely.
Such a rotten feeling. One's enough.
It's a horrible fucking botch, but what do you do? I'm trying to think what I do. That would make me wake up in the middle of the night going, ah!
When something like that happens, like what happened with Vince McMahon when he ran into the ring and slid in and tore his quads, the only thing you can do is ad lib and still go to what is planned, but fine tune it so you can still get to where the conclusion is supposed to go and play off what has happened to him.
Guess you do a lot of ad-libbing, you know? I mean, I guess you just roll on your back and tell somebody to lay on top of you, right?
He's obviously fucked. He's your boss. I would fucking quit calling. I'd grab somebody and fucking hoist him over the fucking rope and go over with him.
And then you go down, you know, you get down to him and ask him, you know, you all right? What'd you hurt? Or what'd you break? You know what I mean? And then it ain't like you can stop and retake. So now they just got to give you whatever's left. So if all y'all can do is stomp me, just stomp me, get out here and choke me, tell them I'm fucking hurt, I'm hurting for real, and try to get out of it as easy as you can. Jesus Christ. I mean, live TV. I can only imagine it to, the time I've shit myself wrestling. There was a time when I was wrestling Jason Knight in Detroit, and we're wrestling, good 2 minutes. He gives me a clothesline, land on my back, I shit myself. What do you do? In my instance, I could carry on, but you blow out both fucking knees. Hey, I'm just gonna sit here and yell at you.
Under their breath, I've heard it a lot of times when I was shooting pictures, or they'll mainly the referee will generally go down and say like, come on, and then the person is able to say, I'm hurt. In Vince's case, he was like, I'm hurt.
Look to your boss for guidance at that point, because he's the one that's fucked up. He's the one that's writing the checks, and I think he knows probably better than anybody else at that point what he can handle and what he can't handle.
You know what I mean? Whatever Vince says, do. I mean, but, I don't know what was supposed to happen.
I'll give this to Vince. He's taken some of the most hellacious bumps in this business, from falling off the cellar to the table and fucking breaking his tailbone and not selling it, to the boys, keeping that brave face. But this, he had to sell, and he's a proud man, Ha ha, meanie, I'm Vince McMahon.
Oh man, you hate that. It's one of those things like you hear about it after the fact and he's okay, and you kind of don't even want to laugh then because the poor guy dove into the ring. I did it before, and I did it to my left knee. I didn't blow out everything, but I broke my kneecap sliding in the ring, and it was slippery coming down on a house show against Chris Masters after he broke my face, so it was like, I can't win. But yeah, when that happened, it was one of those things where you didn't know, and you just sat there yelling and screaming and doing whatever. Yeah, I don't like to ever, laugh at when someone gets hurt or do because I've been in that position many, many times and been laughed at. It doesn't feel good.
When you hit your belly flop, so your legs never hit anything, But hey, I was running down that ramp one time, and no one ever really saw this, and doing a run-in on Taker, and I was on full speed run, and there's a spot where if this is the ramp, right at the end, it does this. So it doesn't go flush. It's like running, now my foot hits air. And now where am I going? Oh my God, now boom, and I just went and went right into the railing. I mean, no one ever saw it. I fucking totally hard-weighed myself, like total gash on my head. I still got in the ring, still did my set. Taker's looking around, his blood, who's juicing? Never even knew it till we got to the back. I go, dude, I freaking missed that air spot because the ramp is not flat. So anything can happen. And I ran in that ring a million times.
Hopefully that never happens to me where I'm a house of fire and then I'm an invalid. I'm just sitting there.
I see Tess try to do the same shit. Guy sliding under the rope, splattered his nose. I mean, his nose just splattered. He was trying to run in on DX, on us,
I had, what do you call them, the surgical blades. I had one, I always say scalpel. I had one on my hand one night, and I shot Johnny Grunge off. No, it was Axel Wright, and I shot him off. And my blade was on the side of my thumb, and I hooked his thumb. And when I shot him off, our thumbs locked, and that blade went in his thumb and split it. And he got blood pouring out his hand. And he didn't know what to do. I grabbed my fork and started acting like I was stabbing it. And I kept doing it. And be honest, and I took his hand and slammed into the turnbuckle. And I bit him and whatever. So that was like opportunity, go get it. You know what I mean? And that was the whole match was centered on his hand. And we cut it a few minutes short, and then we went home, and he had to get stitched up. So in a situation like that, you can't stop.
Coming from someone who has torn a quad, it hurts like a bitch, trust me.
Well, it's the muscle front of your leg. What happened or happens with quad tears is this muscle comes off just above your knee and rolls right up your leg here. I mean, that's a horrible injury. And obviously your legs don't work after that. So Vince done both of them. Horrific.
We're working a show in Houston on my birthday. This is probably 2001, maybe 2002, I don't know. It was Chris against Sandman, me managing Chris. And we were delayed in the Philadelphia airport for like 13 hours in a blizzard. So by the time we got to Houston, they picked us up in a limo. They drove us to the building. They pulled the limo into the building through like the garage door. They hit Sandman's music. He went at one side of the limo. They hit Chris's music. We went out the other side of the limo for our entrances. And now take in mind, we're 13 hours delayed in Philly, and we're on a good 4-hour flight down to Houston. Quite a bit of alcohol was consumed by the three of us before we got there on the plane, and like with Sandman stealing the little bottles of alcohol off the cart. So we got there, and the three of us are just oblivious to what's going on. And I'm never one to offer to take bumps for anyone, only when absolutely necessary. But here I am, drunk out of my mind, and we're out on the floor, and I tell Sandman, suplex me on the floor. Great idea, to get suplexed by a drunk out of his mind Sandman on the floor. With no mats on the floor, just concrete. What was I thinking? So he picks me up for a suplex, and because he's so fucked up, he's wobbling all over, so as he lowers me for the suplex, he catches my thigh on the guardrail. Tore my quad. I still have a lump in my quad from where my quad shriveled up from my kneecap because it never healed back. I still have a bump right here from the shriveled up muscle.
You almost kind of feel sorry for him, you know? I mean, it's, I don't know about, I mean, that had to be painful. I can't even imagine what that felt like.
I wouldn't call that a botched, spot. That's a fucking that's a very painful accident, trust me.
Not top 5 botched. Top 10, okay. I'm 39. I can probably list off a bunch of shit that made me go, ooh.
He's not gracious enough to even think of attempting to do that. It's nowhere near as easy as it looks.
Don't do it when you're 62.
Like our last botch, this one isn't so funny. Actually, it's kind of scary. The reason the botch was so bad was because it tanked an entire pay-per-view main event and could have potentially led to a tragedy. The real question is, who botched this one worse? The performer in question, or the people who let him go to the ring in front of the cameras in this condition? The number 3 most botched moment is Jeff Hardy, dazed and confused.
Oh, dude, he can't even walk.
That's not number 1. Okay.
Oh, slow motion is better than no motion. He is done. And Sting knows it.
Sting, I worked with him now 100 times. So, I'm looking at him and I'm like, he's like, what the fuck? Of course, he's Christian now, so he doesn't say fuck, but what the F is he doing? He might even have said fuck at that point.
Wow. All right, now I see why it's right there. And he wanted to kick out, too, and Sting kept him in there.
It's really difficult to see a friend like in that kind of condition.
Poor Jeff, Is this called dazed and confused? Is that what you call it?
We called it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's, stud athlete,
Wait, he was drunk or peeled up, or both?
Yeah, that was a very, very unfortunate moment. I did see the match, and I think the fans were just as confused as Jeff Hardy there. Something that shouldn't have happened. That's it. We're looking at people out there who are professionals, and it shouldn't have happened. That's all I can say about it.
Poor Jeff. Would you really call this a botch, though?
I think he's a highly emotional human being and a great worker. I really do. Asking me if Jeff has a problem is a very broad question, because he, like anyone else in the performing industry, there's usually something going on because of the industry that he's in. You will find it in music, in the music industry, and people that tour and are going all the time. You'll find it in football. So to pinpoint and say, does Jeff have a problem? I think it's a situation that is just a big bubble over the whole entertainment industry.
When we were there doing our stuff with it, he was a little fucked up working with the night Abyss, that he worked with Abyss, and that Abyss supposedly did all that shit to Van Damme, and Van Damme was laying there bleeding, but you never saw exactly how it happened. That's just wrestling, man.
On and off he has, of course. It's well documented, I guess. But to go in the ring and put someone's life in danger, because that's what it can possibly come to,
And it's more sad than a botch. I love the guy. I wish this hadn't happened to him or anybody involved with it.
A guy like me looks at it and I say to myself, wow, I've never drank or done drugs or anything, and I'm friends with the Hardys. I think I've worked Jeff, and I think he's great. But I just think to myself, this is really indicative of the business rewarding fuck-ups, for lack of a better term. It's the culture. It's not Jeff. It's like I'm sitting at home, not able to even get a living wage from TNA, and this guy's making $1 million a year, and doesn't have the respect to show up for his 1 to 3 matches a month that he works at Universal Studios to be clean for 15 minutes.
I would hand his ass to him and then be like, this is a lesson for doing pills or drugs or whatever before you go in the ring. See, me, myself, I did something too different. I did coke, so I wasn't gonna be stumbling drunk. I just had a heart rush, and I ran around the ring like I was retarded till my heart jumped in the A-field, and I about all I was waiting for somebody to come in and say, clear, poof, I was done.
There was a lot of times that, you know, Chris would even have to go work with someone, whether it be Balls, who they grew up together, and I love him like a brother, but if I thought Balls was a little too fucked up, I would go up to him and say, you are not swinging a chair in Chris's direction. Ain't gonna fucking happen, you know, if I have anything to do with it. And he would always listen to me because he was like, he still is deathly afraid of me, Balls is. But there were many times that, you know, I'd see Chris about to work with somebody, and if I knew they were not in the condition to do it, I would bitch and be the out front cunt that I was known to be, and I would make sure it didn't happen.
Yeah, there was no problem. I wasn't the advertised main event. They couldn't perform. I had performed, and I just grabbed the mic and I had a little fun.
So you wouldn't have got me stumbling. You would have got me run out the door and run down the street screaming. You know what I mean? But that's what I didn't do a downer. I did a upper. All right, I'll be behind the curtain. My ring music hit, and I'll be like this here. Bro, you don't see a match where I laid down. You might couldn't catch me after the match. I forget to get my pay. Cause I'm so coked up, I'll run out the ring, go to get my car, and still got my gimmick, my stuff, and then call police. Can you mail me my check?
I'm glad he got his life together. I'm glad he's clean. I'm glad about all those things, but that was truly a terrifying thing to watch, because not for him, because he got in there, and if he fell, if he got hurt or whatever, it's his own fault. But Sting. Sting got his neck scratched up. Sting's in there trying to do the best he can in his 50s, looking great, working out, trying to have great matches. And it was just, I really was scared and felt bad for Sting in that situation.
Not taken away from his personal responsibility at all, but when you're in condition like that, there's more important fucking things than your probably only 10,000 fucking people that bought the goddamn pay-per-view in the first place. You don't risk somebody's life by sending them out like that. Not only his life, but other people. Like, it's just, you don't do that. It wouldn't have happened in WWE, and there's no fucking excuse for it.
He endangered himself and whoever you're in with. That's, no call for that at all. It's ridiculous.
That was unfortunate. I mean, that really was, and it was really, really bad for Jeff, but it was also really bad because, I mean, somebody could have got hurt in there. I mean, that was, I don't know if I'd call it botched. It was unfortunate.
They're both in danger. Not just Hardy himself, because he could just slip and break his neck, but if he tried to do anything, offensive to Sting, he could hurt him or kill him. Absolutely, I totally disagree with letting somebody in the ring in that conditions. I've seen it happen so many times. Especially in ECW, especially like when Sandman was concerned. So many times he got in that ring and was swinging that stick when he should have been, passed out in bed somewhere. It was pretty bad. There was a few times that people actually refused to work with him.
We were in Pittsburgh, and I had half the locker room high on acid, I think, that night. I was going, here, lizard. I knew what I was doing. I mean, it was only acid. It wasn't like, I don't know, but I knew exactly what was going on. Although I did sit that whole match in the front row on some fat lady's lap, I think. And New Jack was coming out, and I was doing the lizard thing, and yeah, that was acid.
Now, if somebody ended up, God forbid, paralyzed for life or something like that, what would Dixie Carter be saying right now? How she's going to take care of the guy for the rest of his life? Miss Benevolent Dixie? Like she told me, oh, we'll get these two together. Next day I got an email from her, oh, we're sorry, we don't need you. Even though we told everybody that you got fucked up and missed our pay-per-view. We don't need you anymore.
It was another example of how the business tries to remove the passion from those who care about it and try to see that hard work does pay off, talent always rises, you can't keep it down, you can, because they'll keep putting people out there no matter what.
The people who took time out of their lives, you know, people work for a living, and sometimes they might have to work a Sunday, and they went out of their way to schedule this pay-per-view on their calendar so they can sit there and be entertained. And they had you know, as a fan, you daydream of what the match is going to be like. What's the finish going to be? You know, you want a big finish where it's like orgasmic, and then it's unfortunate that Jeff, you know, was in that condition. But TNA has an obligation to protect their performers and protect their fans' interest.
Not too long before that match, apparently he was okay walking around, but see, certain types of pills, when they hit you, you're fine 1 second and then boom, you could be done, you know. Somas, for instance, why they were banned.
Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe he stayed away from everybody until it was time. You know what I mean? I've seen Axel Rotten go to the ring pill drunk, you know, not knowing what the hell was going on. And then you don't realize it because he gets quiet. So he's just sitting there like this. And let me know when my match coming up. So then it was time for the match. He done scooted around everybody, had nobody seen him. And then all of a sudden he pops up on camera and he's pill drunk. Axel did it all the time. That's why I told him I'd never work with him again. Because he did it at TNA when we did that thing. When Time of Dream and all of us were down there. Axel was in the locker room, peeled up.
Well, if it were me, and it wasn't, I probably would not have let that person go out there. It's like giving the person who's intoxicated, here's the keys to my car, go down and get me some stuff at the 7-Eleven.
Never should have happened. I mean, not just for Hardy's sake, but for the company's sake. I mean, look at how that made not just Jeff, but the company itself, that they would allow that to happen. That was bad. I blame that all on Bischoff.
You hear a lot on the internet and you hear a lot of stories, and the one thing I got to give Eric credit for was, I know, like, Eric on the fly, you know, changed the finish, did whatever he had to do right there on the spot.
If Jeff Hardy is that much of a problem, or anybody, if I'm that much a problem, whoever has a history with drugs, don't fucking book them in the main event of your pay-per-view.
Yeah, well, you know, you've seen a lot of guys walk out, and, you know, maybe he acted like he was, and you want him to think that he's the main event. You want to think he's okay. I don't know, you know. How do you do that, you know? I don't know how to explain that one. I think that if I've already promised him in a main event, no matter what, and he can get himself to the ring, get yourself to the ring and do the job, you know? Yeah, well, no. Don't throw shit all over the place. Lock up, knee him, and take him. You know, you know, for Stinger, he has to turn you like that. But if you would have went to slam him and he came down, he'd be right there, because I would do that spot with him sometime. But, you know, Sting is just, no, none of it's his fault. And, you know, who's ever sent, you know, it's really comes down on Jeff, you know.
Jeff was okay pretty much the whole day. When he came out to go out for the match, that's the first time anybody saw him like that. So I kind of give Eric credit for kind of, you know, making a call in a very, very rough time. But it was unfortunate, not botched.
The company can say they didn't do this or did do that, but I know otherwise, you know, as far as, you know, they sent him through the curtain in that kind of condition, and there is absolutely zero excuse for it.
In my opinion, TNA did Jeff Hardy a great disservice by putting him out. TNA did Jeff Hardy a disservice, Sting a disservice, Eric Bischoff a disservice, and every single person who bought the pay-per-view.
See, like, to me, this isn't as bad as after Sting not speaking for 19 months, the first thing out of his mouth after he beats fucking Hulk at Starrcade is fucking something mamacita in Spanish. I mean, those are the kind of things in my life that I just go, really? You break your 20-month silence with something you utter in Spanish?
There's a million things they could have done to cover it up. They could have had Jeff Hardy just walking down the hall and have somebody just glom him and then send somebody else, you know? There's a million and one ways that could have been fixed or covered up. Like Paulie used to say, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives, you know? And that was a big fuck you to the fans, and that was a big fuck you to Sting. Sting didn't deserve for them to send him out there like that.
I mean, how hard is it to fucking do an angle where fucking somebody gets to him and fucking goes down and takes his fucking spot? Even if you gotta work fucking twice. I'd rather fucking bring down a heel faction, Wiener Dog Sting, and have him fight from underneath. Anything but fucking, what, a minute and a half? You wonder why they do 8,000 buys?
There's a million fucking things TNA could have done to reconcile the Jeff Hardy Sting situation, and they blew it.
Not every botch happens in the ring. As we've seen, sometimes they happen on commentary. And now our number 2 most botched moment took place during a promo. Bad news first. The botch happened during a live pay-per-view, so it couldn't be retaped. The good news, thank God it was Booker T who dropped the N-bomb and not somebody whiter.
He's like, I can't believe I just said that. He had to turn away. She's like laughing. Stevie Ray's like, what the fuck just happened? That's fucking great. I can't believe I don't remember that.
I've never seen that, man. That's so funny. I love Booker T.
He said Nicka.
How do you react to that?
Look at Sarah. Sarah said, and the best part is in the word that he says, the N-word, is Sherry's response. If you forget watching Booker T, just look at Sherry.
Oh, Sherry. Sherry's like, it's okay, it's okay.
I was amused by Sherry's face.
Sherry just was like, you just shit the bed. Oh, wow, you went there.
Sherry, you couldn't tell Sherry's laughing. He just did it, and then he went, you could see like him thinking about like what in the world is going to happen after this.
That's Booker. I always expect some from Booker.
You got to remember where Booker T came from, Houston, and he talks street talk a lot. When I used to go out a lot with him, he used to call me nigga too.
I love Booker to death, man. And the thing is, like, Book's like the only guy that ever played like a black guy in wrestling.
Well, I think I'd have laughed too, because I know Booker a lot, you know, and he's a great guy. He's got a lot of humor, and he's just hyped up all the time verbally. You know, he's like, I think I would have laughed too.
The thing about the Booker one that I think is really funny is just his reaction to it after he caught himself. I mean, I just think that, you know, that was classic. That was classic. But I still don't know if it outdoes the Sid one, because Sid really looked like an idiot.
I believe we were like probably 20 feet away, like on the other side of the camera, and just gut busting laughing. And then once they finally went off, they started laughing their ass off too.
Here he is calling a 5'7" white Jewish kid nigger, okay? It's just something that he grew up with that means like, brother. Jimmy Snuka calls me, you know, brother, I'm not his brother. I'm not Booker T's nigger.
Gene never even sold it. He never even sold it. That's all you could do in that scenario. You saw how I sold it. I just pop, you know. But that's his book, and that's how he is, you know. And that's why he's a great promo, you know, because he brings himself to the whole character.
If I was Stevie Ray, I probably wouldn't have believed that I heard it, because when I first saw it, which I did see it live, I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, there's no way.
Hulk Hogan's not that tan. You know, Hulk Hogan tans a lot. You might say he's leathery. Hulk Hogan has the complexion of rich mahogany. But never, in my wildest dreams, have I ever thought of Hulk Hogan as the N-word.
But it's kind of it's just an in thing. It was harmless, but then again, if you're on TV, you have to understand that sometimes you say the wrong thing or the wrong word, no matter how you meant it, it's going to inflame some people.
The network didn't make a big deal. I was, you know, if it was a white guy saying it, that'd have been one thing. But it was two black guys that they say are from Harlem, but probably have never been to Harlem before.
6'8", bleach blonde hair. Maybe you could confuse him for Little Kim, maybe, because she does her hair all witchy ways. But, you know, he's bald. He wears a do-rag. Hogan wears a do-rag. And he does the...
No. On live pay-per-view? Live TV? Never. I'm a one-take wonder, baby. I don't screw things up.
Believe it or not, I was really good. I wouldn't curse when I grabbed the mic unless I wanted to or something like that. But no, I mean, I don't know. Who knows what I could have done, but I just don't remember it.
This is how I've always taught people too. Like, girls have taken me aside, even guys, and they're, you know, ask me like advice on how to do promos and things like that. And like, what if I screw up a promo? How do I, you know, redeem it? And I said, well, try to catch your words and try to, if you have to change the subject, do it, or try to think of another sentence to segue back into what you're talking about. I said, but the best way to cover up a really bad fuck up, and I've done it, is make fun of yourself.
But a lot of times we weren't live either, you know what I mean? I wasn't doing live, you know what I mean? That's live. You call somebody a nigga, fucking the whole world just heard a book. And Book's great too. I wish I could have seen his reaction off camera afterwards. He was probably going up to Hogan, I'm sorry, whatever, you know. Book's such a great guy though.
If you make fun of yourself, you get a nice little chuckle from the crowd because you acknowledged your fuck up instead of trying to cover it up and looking stupid, and they're like, you fucked up. So if you get them on your side by making fun of yourself, it works. So I've always tried to tell people, if you fuck up, it's okay. Just kind of acknowledge the fuck up. You know, there's so many times I'll be in a promo too, and if I forget a word or something, I'll just look at the camera, give a little wink and a laugh, and it works. It smooths things over. So
I have done promos in my life where, you know, you try to, Raven taught me, you know, Al Snow taught me how to do promos in wrestling school. You know, I went to ECW. Raven, great promo guy. You know, when you're doing a promo, think 5 words ahead. What possibly could Booker T have thought 5 words ahead that would have made any of that cool? I did it with Bob Cottle, Smoky Mountain. I thought Bob would have a heart attack. I told Rock and Roll Express, I said, you messing with the gays and we the wrong niggas to mess with. Bob Cottle said, he looked right at Jim Cornette, he was like, and with the camera right, he said, and we'll be back. And Bob dropped the microphone. He was like, what? He walked out. I was like, what the fuck was that?
How about when Parker brought them down to the ring with chains around their necks? Right. Whew. I mean, you're talking about just...
I told Rock and Roll Express, I said, what do y'all think, we some homegrown, chicken-eating, watermelon seed-spitting niggas? No. And I said, we don't pick cotton. Well, I had a bag of cotton in my hand and Mustafa didn't know it. And I threw the cotton up in there and Mustafa said, ah! And reached out and picked it up and started blowing. And dude, we was dying. And we got in the bag. He said, Jack, ain't too many times I break character. He said, I broke. I did the same thing. I started laughing.
I'll tell you a true story. Sid loves me because remember when that incident happened at WCW where he broke his leg horribly? Well, they called me, WCW called me in to testify, and I did the old swerve and testified on Sid's behalf, so he loves me. Yeah. Maybe I can get him here. Did he no show? Yeah. I'll make a call when I get back.
That, as a botch, that is worthy of a top 5.
Hey, but you know what? He got Hogan's attention.
What happens when a botch occurs the moment you're debuting a new character? What hot? I spit. Did you see that? Fucking flying out of my mouth. What happens when a botch occurs the moment you're debuting a new character? What happens when that character is supposed to strike fear in the hearts of the toughest heels and that botch puts him flat on his face? I'll tell you what happens. Character gone, career gone for the most part. But at least we got the mother of all botches. It's doubtful that the moment you voted on for the most botch of all time will shock you at all.
The guy falls on his face. The hood comes. I mean, that's shocking. That should be the most shocking thing. Sting will tell you, you want to see something shocking.
I mean, come on. I mean, that Lost in Space had better shit than that. I mean, that's so fucking rotten. Ugh.
Yeah, I think that might have killed WCW, actually.
That was fantastic. I dare anyone to go and repeat that moment. I'd love to see it.
Oh, yeah, that's just horrible. That's just whole thing's horrible.
Do you know Fred Hoffman?
Who?
The Shock Master.
Shockmaster. He's sexy in that Stormtrooper mask.
When I see the entrance to the Shockmaster, in my mind, I hear the Benny Hill theme. The theme to the Benny Hill show. The only thing, except the only thing cool about Benny Hill was, you know, was the broads with the big jugs.
Don't do it live. Don't ever do it live. Plus, yeah, oh, thanks, Sid, for trying. Also, when you create the wall, the fake wall on the talk show, you don't put the stud on the bottom. You put it on the side.
We were doing live Bash at the Beach, live, so there was no do-overs. And the way the set was, it was 2x4 studs, and plus it was made taller, so there was right here at my knee, just below my knee, a 2x4 going across with additional studs going down. So the wall was constructed, you know, 5/8 sheet rock. It was done like you would do a wall in your house.
I don't know where he is, where he went, but you know, it definitely killed the gimmick.
So the Shockmaster's entrance coming through the wall, I'm not convinced it was a botched moment. I almost think that somebody in the back, whoever told him to do that, said, let's just fall over, man. You know, I don't know if it was a botched moment or not. It looked like it could have been a botched moment, but it also looks like it could have been a conceived botched moment.
And the way the thing was supposed to read out, I bust this wall out. It wasn't a gimmicked wall. I bust the walls, the wood, and you know, and when I went to the station where I was at, you know, I was to bust through, come through the building, and you know, the promo would take place, you know, into the set. I was the mystery partner that was coming into this deal, and they were getting ready for the pay-per-view that was coming up. Well, what happened was my grand was sitting there, gave me the cue. He says, Fred, you're going to have to hit this very hard to come through the wall. So I double axe handled overhead, and I'm a pretty strong guy, and blew the wall out when they gave me the cue. So all I was supposed to do is blow it out and step into the set. So it blew out except where the crossboard was. And I hit it so hard this way that pretty basically like a teeter-totter. Poop.
What was Sid saying? That's what I want to know. That's what many Sid promos. What is he saying?
If you were to put this on your head, when they did this mask originally, the flake, this is the original deal here, the flake on the outside, okay, is obviously loose. You see how the holes are drilled here, all right? Well, there was a problem with the flake coming through. So how do we keep that from falling in Fred's eyes? There's very little vision just like this. Okay, so what we'll do is, they had Jenny Ingalls, who was the secretary at the time in the office. They took her pantyhose off, cut the tan pantyhose, and glued them over the inside of this also.
I mean, it's a good thing he's wearing that helmet, you know, or you see his red face from embarrassment, you know? Hey, Mom, I'm going to be on pay-per-view tonight. Oh, that's so good. Let's get the family around the TV. We'll, you know, order dinner, and we'll see our son make a big debut on pay-per-view, and fall out of frame with the Star Wars helmet wrapped in tinfoil, sparkly, with the leather vest. No, fur vest. Hi, fellas.
I just don't understand the pyro effect either, because it wasn't anywhere near the wall.
It's amazing. I'm sure that the gimmick would have went down anyway, but it literally and figuratively fell on its face.
They should have jumped him. They should have beat the living daylights at him.
I mean, what? Take away the fact that, you know, I'm sure he wasn't supposed to trip, but what was supposed to come out of it? And how are those guys keeping a straight face?
What you have to do in professional wrestling, and you do what Booker did. If it's fucked up and funny, if you ain't in on the laugh, they're laughing at you. You know it's fucked up. If you fucking horse laugh it's like anything else. At least you're distancing yourself from the absurdity of acting like that guy didn't just trip in front of me, scramble and put a fucking helmet on while a voiceover was talking for him. The worst thing you can do is act like, well, that didn't fucking happen. It's dead.
I can't believe all those guys just stood there and just didn't. I would have had to charge him or something. You know what I mean? I don't. That's just crazy.
No. Stand there and laugh. They did exactly what they should have done. Because if they would have done anything else, they would have looked like idiots.
I might go over and put the boots on him. At this point in my career, I'd be like, fuck this. Field goal kick that fucker. Because he's dead in the air. He's dead. He's fucked. You might as well get over. Because he ain't getting over.
I don't know, because I don't know what the object was. I mean, because you can't really be scared of him at that point. You know, yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised Sid did just go over there and start putting the boots to him. Sid ain't afraid to go into business for himself.
What could have been done to save that? Nothing. It was great. We remember it. It was a great botched moment. Why save it? I think had he come through there, if you saw the expression on the opponent's faces there, Sid Vicious and the other guys that were there, they were very serious. So maybe they were expecting him to fall through that. I don't know.
This popped off my head like a champagne cork. So we're on live TV. It's already, a normal person would be off, you know. I turn, I'm reaching for the helmet, put it back on my head, so it's popped right up to do the promo. At least it's a screw up, stuff happens, but to go through and get the thing where it's supposed to be.
At first I look at it because I don't know what year it was, but at first I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, that definitely shouldn't have just happened.
Anybody that's ever watched the video can see the reaction from not only the crowd, but from the individuals if they read their lips. It was truly a shocking moment in wrestling history.
Didn't Flair say something like, damn, he fell on his ass? Didn't he say that? Like, wasn't it like, it's barely audible. Somebody said, oh my God, he fell on his ass.
Doesn't somebody, oh God, you hear like Ric Flair go, oh shit. Top botch, yeah.
And what about, how's that other thing not on that spot? What about some of those classic Dungeon of Doom promos? They had to be botched, even though they were intended to be botched, because they were awful.
To not agree with you, I'd have to come up with something better. All right, yeah, it's kind of hard to beat that. I mean, he's screwed after that. Yeah, that's got to be it, right?
Yeah, that's a hard one to top. I can't really think of one better than that. That's it. Yeah. Well, wasn't there a spot though there in the Yeti match where he was humping somebody from behind? Who was he humping? It's got to get at least honorable mention. Yeah.
And that was like Dusty's brother-in-law.
Fred Hoffman.
Yeah, he's like Dusty's brother-in-law. That's why they couldn't just, that's why he got the fucking deal in the first place.
There's reasons why certain people make it higher in the industry and others. A lot of it has to do with like intelligence quotient and just aptitude, things like that. And just some guys with the physical tools just are lacking in all those other ingredients.
I had to drive back to Tampa where I was living at the time that night, upset, you know, but then it would have been like a 24 a case beer night kind of deal.
That is #1 on the Mount Rushmore of fucking botches.
In all these categories, including botchamania here, we remember the botched moments. It becomes part of what we remember in wrestling. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it today.
The fans always get it right.